Hello and welcome back to Cooked episode 9.
So today we'll be talking about extracurriculars. So I think since I'm pretty sure all of us are in the 11th grade right now, we're all juniors right now, and we're thinking about college, and we need to build our profile for college to stand out and just basically have a good application. So we need to do a lot of ECs for applications, especially if you want to go abroad, specifically the US, which I think all of us are aiming to go to. So yeah, I think, these days I've been focusing a lot on my ECs apart from just like studying. So yeah, it's pretty hard finding internships because, India's not very popular for internships. There's no internship culture over here.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It's
Yeah.
pretty like rare to find like a good internship that has the holes, that is credible. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty hard, but you might be lucky sometimes, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah, actually that's a fair point because like we're in India as well. Like I've seen quite a few people, like people I know, they've moved from like for example to CBSE to a more, I know, like a syllabus that, influences extracurriculars more. For example, like IBDP, that has CAS and stuff. And they say it's like a really big jump. So because we have to have all of the extracurriculars and stuff, it's quite a lot. I find myself nowadays I start worrying more about extracurriculars than my actual studies, which I don't know if I should be concerned about or happy about, but that's definitely like that's something I've noticed nowadays. And actually, I actually have a bit of advice. So recently, I was scrolling through Insta, okay, and of course I see, like, I mean, my Insta feed is always, it's filled with college reels and extracurricular reels, which I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, but my entire feed is just those, which I'm not too happy about, but we'll just say it's there. And I found this app. It's called Illuminate. It's basically like an app that shows you extracurriculars for whatever industry you're passionate about. So, for example, I'm passionate about computer science, and I clicked on computer science, and it literally shows everything, like all internships, all volunteering opportunities, all leadership opportunities on computer science. So I think that's pretty cool if you guys want to go check that out.
Oh, wait, I will. Okay, that sounds really interesting. And I want to like go off of what y'all said as well, like how extracurriculars are now becoming as important or even more important than our studies, because if you see like colleges and you see their acceptance rates, it's like a gradual decrease as the years are going on, and it's just getting harder and harder to get into colleges because they want that one factor that will make you different from other applicants, and now that's mainly just your ECs and like what you do other than your studies, because that's what makes you a well-rounded like applicant.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that because I think because yeah, you said the acceptance rates are declining, and I think it's mainly because I think with test scores, people are nowadays you get see people who get really high test scores, and quite a few of them actually, like quite a few people get really high test scores, and I think that number's increasing. And you said about standing out as well. Yeah, there's this compulsive need to actually stand out for college applications. So I think the education isn't enough because nowadays loads of people are high achievers. So yeah, it's definitely like an extra requirement because so
mhm.
many people are getting higher grades than normal.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's why the application process is pretty well rounded. Like it's a good. I mean, like I said, it's a very holistic application process. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's important for colleges to consider your ECs. There are certain candidates, they might not have like good ECs, but they're relatively smart, and I think they'd probably make like a good fit into like certain colleges. So I mean, it's a disadvantage for certain people, but at the same time, it's recommended that you have a balance. But again, there are limitations. Like I said, in India, internships aren't a big thing, and it's pretty hard to
Mhm.
stand out if
Yeah, because of the education system as well. It doesn't,
exactly.
like
But
most of the internships you see nowadays, you don't have too many summer programs that are for like juniors, high school juniors. Like they're all like,
exactly.
oh, you need to have like a degree in this, a degree in that, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, it's very hard to find things like that. And like
I
when I do find
mean,
internships, they're like in America, so I'm like, okay,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I personally know a lot of people who do go to like other countries for internships.
whoa,
These
that's
aren't
wild.
no not internships, but just summer programs because I
Okay.
think Yeah, I think you mentioned this to me before. You were talking about demonstrated interest, right? So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so demonstrated interest, in terms of demonstrated interest, like certain things do get considered. Like if you go to the summer program, like UCLA summer program, and you plan to apply to UCLA, your admission officer will consider that, you did go there and you did do something relevant to
Yeah,
the
that you're
school.
demonstrating interest.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's, a good like practice, but at the same time, it's pretty out of reach for us Indian students, not just because of, the location. These summer programs are pretty like expensive. They're pretty
Yeah, it's quite a hefty amount of money actually. Like
exactly.
even internships, like you have to pay for them, and it's like, what's the
Huh?
point? What's the point if you're just gonna pay for it? Isn't that just like
Yeah.
paying for a certificate and just it's not very equal if it's like that. And I
I
think
mean, yeah, I mean, even though you're still paying for like a summer program, like it's still on your application. Again,
that's
these
true.
summer the good summer programs, they do have like an application process. You're supposed to like write like this essay, and only if you get selected, you'll be able to pay the fee. So I mean, it's pretty out of reach for, students from, the lower class. So yeah,
Yeah.
there are, pros and cons to everything, but yeah, I mean, it's like good practice to just like indulge into like certain summer programs. It doesn't have to be ones offered by the college you want to go to, but just doing summer programs in general is a good it's I think it is a good
Yeah,
extracurricular in my
that's
opinion.
really that's very true. But I feel like there's definitely been big difference from how it was back then. I mean, nowadays you have I don't know, left and right. If you look, you have everyone starting like an NGO, everyone starting like a non-profit. Like just there's just non-profits everywhere at this point. And yeah, that I feel like because of that, it's become more challenging. I mean, some students, they write research papers and they get published in international journals, and that's insane in my opinion. I mean, the lengths that we have to go for this. But I mean, it's I think I don't mind having extracurriculars because for those students who don't have exactly the highest grades, I mean, sometimes their extracurriculars outshine their grades, and I think that's a great opportunity to show that you can be good in other things. So yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with like what Sasheni said, like how extracurriculars just give us that one different approach as to if your grades are not that good, you can just rely on your extracurriculars to like boost up your application. So it does not like just have to rely on just one thing. It can also be your other like achievements as well.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen a lot of applicants who have like really good extracurriculars. Like I've seen their college board application, and in the the extracurriculars slide, they've done a lot. Okay, their grades aren't equally as good. Like I know this one girl who scored like a 2 on her AP like stats exam, but she was a model for like Dior, and she
Oh.
got rejected by her target universities and her backup universities as well. Even the bad ones rejected her because her grades were like that bad. Okay, but she did a lot of modeling, and plus I think she has like an Instagram account with like over like a million followers. I'm not
That's
sure.
insane.
You probably don't know her, but yeah, I mean, she got rejected by all of her target like universities and even her backups. So I think there are again certain limitations because their extracurriculars are literally insane. Like imagine modeling for DR and like
I mean,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
again, it comes to being a well-rounded student. I mean, certain syllabuses prepare you better than others. Like for example, you have IB, okay? They're
Yeah.
like their whole like motto, I guess, is like world peace and being compassionate and kind and everything. So with things like CAS, it prepares you better for than other people. But yeah, I feel like we should definitely have like some form of EC integrated into each syllabus. But yeah.
But I feel like when you're talking about such like I mean, I don't like, it seems a little superficial, the whole like applying to college being like a very famous model and everything, unless
Mm-hmm.
you're applying for a like a specific degree that requires you to model. I don't see how that would like actually get you into the college you want to.
Actually, yeah,
Like,
I was
yeah,
wondering, like,
Makes
if you're
sense.
modeling, you're not making like a global. I mean,
exactly, you're
global
making a
impact
global
is in you
difference.
might be making a global impact in like the fashion industry, but
Yeah.
that's like to sell more clothes, and that's like fast fashion as well. So I don't know if that goes into. I mean, it
Uh,
really depends.
Well, I mean, like, it honestly depends on what you're majoring.
That's what, yeah.
Very
Exactly,
niche
exactly.
majors. There's a lot of very niche
Like,
majors. So I think it is beneficial for that. I mean, I totally understand both of your points. At the same time, I've seen applicants who've done ECs like completely irrelevant. Like I think it just it's okay. Just forget the like the relevancy part. I think scale is also like a it's a big deal because you know if you're like representing your country in like an Olympiad or something, it's pretty big. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's huge. So I think
Yeah.
scale is also one thing to consider at the same time. But I mean, yeah, I totally understand. You know, doing something relevant to your major is probably a better approach to building your application. But yeah, I totally get that though. I mean, it's I mean, a lot of people have a lot of different interests. I mean, someone. I mean, I personally seen a lot of people who've like excelled like in terms of academics, and they've done a lot even in the sports area. So yeah, I think it's again it's good to have a balance of ECs that might not be relevant to your major.
Okay, so I want to go back to the whole non-profit thing, and how many the number of students. I mean, I go on YouTube and it's like loads of really good university applications. Like most of them have like a non-profit, and it's like, oh, they impacted this many people, and it honestly surprises me. It's like, wow, that's a lot of work, and honestly, I mean, that might be us in like a few months actually, because I mean, we have 2 years and people are already just. I mean, some people start working for like a certain university from like really young. But yeah, it honestly amazes me like the lengths that we have to go to get like into a college. So yeah.
yeah, I want to go off what Susheni said about like NGOs and stuff. I feel like, yeah, they're very important. But again, what all it all comes back to the scale of like how many people you've impacted, and more
Exactly.
than anything, it also matters like what kind of NGO are you doing. Like if it's like an NGO that's like not like a very pressing issue at the moment, then I feel like it's not as relevant an issue than something that would actually affect like the globe's future or something like
Yeah,
that.
I feel like the most impactful ones are the ones that address SDGs,
Yeah,
because those ones are
Mm-hmm.
like major and stuff.
yeah. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's what colleges are looking for. I mean, like looking at NGOs that would actually like help them in the future and everything like that.
So I mean, coming back to NGOs, I feel like again, some people say that maybe like establishing an NGO that is probably relevant to your major is a good idea. But at the same time, the idea that you're like establishing an NGO is to make a difference. Okay, so I
Exactly.
don't. Yeah, I mean it's not about college. Okay, don't just make an NGO like for
Yeah,
college.
Mm-hmm.
Make an I mean I've seen a lot of people just create NGOs just for the sake of their college applications looking good.
Exactly. It should be
It's
something that you carry on. Like you have to show that you're
exactly,
really
exactly.
dedicated.
Yeah, that's my point. So colleges care about, okay, so you have an NGO. Are you gonna like work on it even after college? Are you gonna do the same thing in college as well? Because I mean that's what essentially like shows the college that you actually are determined, you actually are working towards improving, working on your NGO, and hopefully like increasing the skills so that you can do the same thing in college as well. That's essentially what colleges look for. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean that's it. It's not about, oh, I need this for college, so let me like real quick just make an NGO so my application looks good.
Exactly.
Don't do that for college. Just like do it
Uh-huh.
because you
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I was watching this YouTube video recently. I think it was by this guy called Preaching P. Have you seen that YouTube channel?
No.
no, I
No,
don't think
okay.
so.
Anyway, the guy was going on about like you might be thinking that all of like your efforts are just going into college, and once you get into college, you won't even care about it. But actually, I feel like that's not true because yeah, I feel like that's true actually. Like you will care about it once you've done all of it, because all of this is like it's gonna help you in the future eventually. Like doing this NGOs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all developing your skills. So I think colleges really want to see how you'll be in the future as well. Like they see that through your extracurriculars.
I feel like the big part of like NGOs itself, when you get into college and like the whole part of will you continue this in college as well or like after college, once you start an NGO that you genuinely love or like you're doing a problem, like you're trying to solve a problem that you actually care about, I feel like it's inevitable that you want to continue because you love doing what you want to do, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like college admission officers can literally like look through you. I mean,
Yeah.
they do their background research. Okay, they're not dumb. So whenever you mention that, oh, I created an NGO, we've had like these many people that we've connected to, and we have these many people on like Instagram that follow us. They do like background checks. Okay, they actually check it. They're not dumb. So I mean, don't just create like an NGO just to include in your application. Like, do something. So you actually can present it to your admission officer and it looks legit, like you're actually doing something. So yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
even if you don't start an NGO, people have passion projects. I mean, even
exactly,
that
yeah.
that does eventually link to something that is meant to make an impact. Like for example, like if you're passionate about coding and you make a website with coding tutorials, that addresses like a problem that education isn't accessible to everyone. So like if you do something that has a positive impact, then I think that's also a major plus. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and I really hope you liked it. If you liked it, please rate us 5 out of 5 and tune in for another episode next Monday. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.